On March 27th, 2020, I created my very first What If video, titled Dragon Ball What Affinity. That video was a love letter to my favorite Dragon Ball creator, MasakoX. I combined all of his what if stories at the time into one huge timeline and one series. It was a very fun video to make, but if you look back on it now, it's pretty poorly done. It was over 2 years ago after all. Years have gone by, I've grown my channel more, Masako has made more what ifs, and surprisingly, I still have people in my comments to this day asking for new parts of the old series. It's something I've always wanted to go back to, but now I feel it's finally time. I reached out to Masako on Twitter asking permission if I could begin work on this video, which he replied, sure. I may not have hit 25k, but hey, 23 is close enough. Hopefully this video can be pushed out there to help me get to 25k though, and if I hit that, then new parts may be put into production. So make sure to like the video and subscribe if you're interested in future parts. Now, for those of you who may be unfamiliar with the concept of a what affinity, let me break some things down. A what affinity is where we take multiple scenarios and put them all into one universe. For example, if we take what if Raditz turned good, and what if Gine went to Earth with Goku, and merge them into one universe, that counts as a crossover what if. Now if we take the entire backlog of what ifs from Masako's channel, then we get a what affinity, which, as the name implies, is an infinite number of what ifs placed into a single timeline. This is going to be a gigantic project, and well, it'll be tough to do it alone. I hope that all of the hard work will be worth it in the end. Before we begin, there will be some gigantic changes for the stories I need to address. Number 1. There are what ifs that Masako created that contradict each other. For example, what if Goku never met Bulma, and what if Goku married Bulma cannot exist in the same reality for obvious reasons. So, I'll have to choose which scenario over the other can logically fit into the larger timeline. 2. I will not be including the mini what if stories that have been created into this scenario, as those are not full stories and some of them have little to no greater change on the story anyways, so only the full stories that he created will be included. 3. Masako has dived into the Dragon Ball Z movies, and has even made what ifs that include the Dragon Ball Z Broly and the Dragon Ball Super Broly. These are two different Brolys that cannot exist in one scenario, so to not completely neglect one giant what if from the channel, I've decided to make a compromise. I will be having both versions of Broly be included, with them born as twins, similar to my own what if on What If the Brolys Were Twins if you want to check that out. That way, everybody can be happy. 4. Finally, after my first what affinity, I stuck with the what if Goku is female what if to make Goku a female. This again contradicts other what if stories, which only work if Goku is a male, such as him and Chi-Chi or Bulma having Gohan. So to rectify this, and thanks to a suggestion from Semroth from my Discord server, I'll be doing the same thing I'm doing with Broly, and making there be two Gokus, one male and one female, to once again try and make everybody happy. So those are the big changes of this series I needed to address. Masako, if you're watching this, feel free to let me know if these changes are to your liking, and if you'd like me to go in a different direction or not. Thank you. With all of that, let's finally begin the rebooted MasakoX What Affinity. Countless millennia ago, the evil Majin Buu was terrorizing the universe. He and his master Bibidi had gone on to destroy hundreds of planets and kill/absorb many of the Supreme Kais. The only Kais left were the Grand Supreme Kai and the East Supreme Kai. The Grand Kai managed to defend the East Kai, Shin, and it cost him his life, as he was absorbed by Majin Buu. This absorption calmed Buu, turning him into the much nicer, fat Buu. This version of Buu was no longer obedient, which resulted in Bibidi having to seal him away to transport him from planet to planet. On Earth, however, Shin managed to track Bibidi down and put an end to him once and for all. Shin left Buu's egg on Earth to not disturb it and awaken the beast, then leaves the planet to become the Supreme Kai. In this timeline, Shin has decided that he isn't just going to sit around and watch the universe become a wasteland. He wants to avenge his fellow gods and help make the universe a better place after all of the evil Majin Buu caused. This is Shin's beginning as a great Supreme Kai, going from world to world to help the mortals and raise Universe 7's ranks higher than they ever were. Eventually, Shin's other half, the god of destruction Beerus, awakens from his slumber, and is stopped by Shin as he tries to destroy the planets around them. Shin stands up to Beerus, knowing he can't kill him or else he'd be killed himself. he tells Beerus that they need to create a support system, where Shin can tell Beerus the correct worlds to destroy, that way he doesn't accidentally destroy a planet that can prosper in the future. Beerus isn't fond of taking orders from the Kai, but after Shin brings up that it would displease Zeno to have him disagree, Beerus decides to comply, as he doesn't want to be erased by the Lord of Everything. Beerus and Shin create their support system, and with Beerus only destroying the planets that Shin tells him to, this creates a consistently great mortal count for Universe 7, putting it pretty high up into rankings. This goes on for many more years, with eventually the Saiyans of Planet Plant rising up and creating their own society. Eventually, there is a civil war on the planet, with a number of good Saiyans fighting against the evil ones. Shin made sure to watch this closely, as any kind of race that destroys themselves without interference is a race that may have to be destroyed by Beerus. However, to Shin's surprise, there are 5 extremely pure-hearted Saiyans that pour their energy into the Saiyan known as Yamoshi, which transforms him into the being known as the Super Saiyan God. As the Super Saiyan God, Yamoshi is able to fight off the evil Saiyans to protect the planet, though with there being so many evil Saiyans, even this godly power isn't enough to take them all down. When all hope seems lost for him, Shin comes down and erases all of the evil Saiyans on Planet Plant. Shin tells Yamoshi that this kind of power he has is enormous. A mortal gaining divine energy like this is something he's never seen before. He could be a great asset in making the universe a better place. Yamoshi doesn't quite understand what Shin is talking about, as he's just a small-brained Saiyan after all, but once Shin takes Yamoshi to his realm to show him what he's talking about, Yamoshi understands. He's trained by Shin and Kibito to harness these godly powers of his once again. That way, he can protect not only Planet Plant, but the rest of the universe as well. Eventually, Beerus and Whis arrive once more in Shin's realm to see what this godly Saiyan is made of, as Beerus has never met a mortal with godly powers. Yamoshi transforms into a Super Saiyan God to battle Beerus, with this being the strongest mortal he's ever fought. Yamoshi is still no match for him, but the God of Destruction is impressed with his display of power and invites him to train on their planet. Yamoshi would be honored and leaves Shin's realm to train with him and Whis. Yamoshi is eventually able to perfect a Super Saiyan God transformation under the Angel and God, but never anything further, and they don't believe there's anything further for him. Once there's nothing left for him to learn, as Ultra Instinct is out of the bag for any normal Saiyan, Yamoshi is allowed to finally return home to Planet Plant to be its protector. As the new godly king of the Saiyans, Yamoshi rules the planet, allowing the Saiyans not to get into any more civil wars, so the Saiyans never have to leave Planet Plant, and this is their permanent home. Though, it does eventually get a name change into Planet Sadala. Shin is happy that he was able to make a better life for these Saiyans, and make sure to continue going out to help them achieve their full potential. Many years pass, with Yamoshi naturally passing on into the other world, leaving his offspring to continue the Saiyan legacy. One of the most noteworthy things to occur is a Namekian cataclysm, which Shin arrives to help with, making it so that there are many more Namekians that survive. Of course, the son of Katas, the nameless Namekian, is still sent off-world to have a better life on Earth. Things seem to be going well for the mortals in Universe 7, though there is a group that strives to use the others for their own gain, to profit off of their planets and sell to the highest bidder. This group are the Frost Demons, led by King Glacier. Glacier has begun his empire small, reaching out to conquer worlds off of Shin's radar to not alert the Kai of what he's doing. His empire does eventually begin to get a name for itself though, and while Shin does catch wind of it, Beerus makes sure to tell him not to interfere, as these Frost Demons are making his job easier, destroying the planets he normally would. Shin tries to fight this with Beerus, as if they destroy the wrong planets, their mortal count would face a significant drop, and Zeno would be very displeased. To ease his worries, Beerus tells him he'll make sure to tell the Frost Demons exactly what planets to destroy to not get on Shin's bad side. This makes Shin more comfortable, but of course, Beerus was telling him what he wanted to hear, and went back to sleep on his planet, allowing the Frost Demons to get away with whatever they wanted. Eventually, the Saiyans had begun to have trouble amongst each other once more, as with the passing of Yamoshi and most of the good Saiyans, we were starting to get the prideful, arrogant Saiyans rising up. The current Saiyan King, King Vegeta II, reached out to Glacier and the Frost Demons, saying they can work for them in exchange for their resources. Glacier isn't happy with the idea of the Saiyans working for them, but his son, Prince Cold, is more than happy to have these monkeys do all of their work for them. The Saiyans are eventually taken in by the Frost Demons and sent out to conquer their world for them with this brand new technology. Other Saiyans are given access to work on and take care of this new equipment, such as the new scout scopes, nursing capsules, and space pods. The ones tasked with taking care of the pods are a Saiyan named Pinter and his young son, Bardock. The two Saiyans make sure that all of the pods are taken care of and ready for space travel pretty much every day. One day though, Bardock catches a bunch of young Saiyans fooling around near the pods and shoots them all off. They all hurry out of there scared, except for one. The young Gine stays behind, just fascinated by all of this new technology in the room. She's not scared of Bardock at all. Gine is a very low-class Saiyan, as when she was born, she had an extremely low power level, so was abandoned by her mother to fend for herself. She's mainly just a young scavenger now, who is very curious on the ways of other Saiyan culture. Since Bardock can't scare her away, and isn't angry enough to beat on her and take her out, he allows her to stay and show her what he does for a living. He's just as fascinated with her as she is with these pods, which makes the two pretty close whenever she comes by. Though, one day, Gine decides to go inside one of the pods, and after messing with a few of the controls, blasts right off of the planet. Bardock sees her take off, and while he is annoyed that she took a pod without asking him, he understands why she'd want to leave. As far as he knows, he's her only real ally. While Gine blasts off of the planet, Glacier and his son Cold have an argument about the Saiyans. Glacier thinks they are too reckless and out of control, and wants to destroy the whole race. Cold informs him it isn't a good idea, as these Saiyans can do so much for them, and to destroy them all would hinder the Empire entirely. Glacier doesn't tolerate the disrespect from his son and attacks him. However, Glacier is far too old and weak now to do any real damage to Cold. Cold, done with his father's weak ruling, kills him with a simple death beam to the head, becoming the new ruler of the Frost Demon clan, King Cold. Gine, meanwhile, crash lands on a planet called Earth. She is worried about this place, as it seems very dangerous in these woods, but eventually she is found by an Earthling. Gine gets ready to fight with him, but the Earthling informs the little girl he means no harm. He just wants to see how she got here. He tells her that his name is Son Gohan. Gine has a unique trait compared to the other Saiyans, where she can sense the goodness in people. She can sense the goodness in Gohan, so decides to go off with him and explain everything about the Saiyans and how she got there. Gohan is pretty fascinated by the fact that there are aliens out there, and that Gine herself is one, since she looks very human except for the tail. Gohan makes sure to take good care of Gine, since she really has nobody else now. This is the life for her. She never had a real childhood on planet Sadala, as her mother abandoned her, and she was treated like an outsider because of her weak battle power. People on Earth seemingly don't have those kind of class restrictions from birth, and with Gohan, she's treated like an actual person. She has a great time here, just getting to act like an actual child. There is a part of her though, that feels bad for that boy Bardock. He was the one who was really nice to her, and he shouldn't have to suffer alone on planet Sadala. She's thought about going back and trying to convince him to come along, but she doesn't remember how to work the ship, so she'd have no way of going to him. Gine just keeps living a life on Earth, and one day, she accidentally looks up at the moon and transforms into a great ape. Great Ape Gine goes on a rampage, wrecking Gohan's house and everything around them. Gohan is able to grab his power pole and hold her off the best that he can. Since he's a lot younger here, he has a much easier time being able to evade and hold her off. He doesn't want to hurt his stepdaughter, but unfortunately has to try and do something before she kills him. When he hits her tail, she slows down by quite a bit. Thankfully, still in monster form, this is his daughter's weakness. Gohan hits her tail with his power pole to slow her down, and then launches his signature technique, the Kamehameha wave, right at it to blow it clean off. With her tail gone, Gine reverts back to normal, not remembering what happened at all. Gohan doesn't tell her what she became, but just tells her not to look at the full moon ever again, or a monster will come out. Some years go by, and eventually another man visits them in the woods. A man who looks a lot less threatening than Gohan, but around his age. Gohan and Gine go out to see what he wants, and the man introduces himself as Dr. Briefs. He is a scientist from West City who is out looking for these so-called Dragon Balls. He's seen some information about them in old stories he found in his basement, so decided to go out and try and find some of them. It's not perfect, but he does have a radar that can track some of them, and it led him here. Gohan and Gine trust this guy, as he doesn't seem to have any ill intent at all. They do have the 4-star Dragon Ball here, so if it can be used for something, then all the power to him. Dr. Briefs explains that they both seem pretty strong, and he won't survive our hero on his own, so asks if they can come with him. Gohan is eager to go out on an adventure with his daughter, and decides to head on out so they can have a nice journey. To 3, go out on a grand adventure to find the Dragon Balls, and the journey is one without any dangers really, since nobody else is searching for the Dragon Balls in this era. Sure, they almost got mugged a few times, but Gohan is able to fight them off with no issues at all. This journey really helps Gine see more of the planet and how beautiful it is outside of Gohan's house. This is truly the place she'd like to spend the rest of her life on. It is a much more beautiful planet than Sadala, and she loves this place more and more by the second. After traversing the world, they eventually are able to gather all 7 of the mystical Dragon Balls. Once they have them all, Dr. Bruce doesn't really have anything to wish for, so offers the 2 of them the wish. Gohan offers it to Gine, who, after thinking it over for a long time, has her wish. Gine loves people and always wants to do the best for them, or at least try. Her race is one that is full of bad people and ruled over somebody much worse. There are people in her race that she knows deserve a better life, a life much better than the one they have now, on constantly battling and being abused by Glacier and his son Cold. She wants to go back to planet Sadala and try and convince some of her Saiyan friends to come to Earth with her, where they can live a happy life. Gohan isn't sure, as he doesn't want his daughter to leave him and go back to that dangerous place, but comes around as it is her choice, and he just wants what is best for her. This isn't a goodbye forever, as she says she'll see him again someday. Shenron, the Dragon God, erupts from the 7 Dragon Balls, asking what they would like to wish for. Gine wishes to be sent back to Sadala, and her wish is granted. Gohan and Briefs watch as Gine is teleported off of the planet, as the Dragon Balls scatter across the land. When Gine made her return to planet Sadala, not much had changed, besides her finding out that Cold is the new king of the Frost Demons and their ruler now. She goes back to Bardock to try and convince him to come to Earth with her, as it's a beautiful planet and there would be no wars to fight. Bardock hasn't seen her in years and says he's not going anywhere right now, as he's been deployed to go on all sorts of missions. He can be with her when he's finished, but he's not looking for the peaceful life right now. Gine is sad that he won't come with her, but at least he may eventually. That's all that matters to her. She's learned a good deal about cooking from Gohan, so decides to take that up here and makes a pretty good name for herself as the best Saiyan cook alive. Some many years pass up here on Sadala, with Gine and Bardock growing older and eventually having a child of their own, Raditz. Gine makes sure to treat the boy very well, as she never wants to abandon him as her mother abandoned her. She is a great mother, and while Bardock isn't the greatest father in the world, Gine's niceness has rubbed off on him, so he's a lot nicer than most of the Saiyan fathers. Speaking of Saiyan fathers, the Saiyan King, King Vegeta III, has gone off on many missions throughout his time as king, and has deployed many troops now to take over this planet full of psychics. King Cold isn't a fan of these psychics, as their future vision may be an annoyance in the future, so he sends the Saiyans to take them out. King Vegeta and the others lay waste to the planet, with the Kanassans not really being able to do much against the sheer might of these brutes. Though, one of them is able to get a good hit on the back of King Vegeta's neck, and curses him with their own future sight. The Kanassan is killed immediately after landing this blow, but it hinders the king for a bit as visions begin to flash through his head of his newborn son, of King Cold's son, and their planet being destroyed. The Saiyans can tell that the king is thrown for a loop right now, and have to cut the invasion early to get him out of there and tend for him. With the Saiyans gone, the remaining Kanassans try and go and escape to find nearby worlds to settle on, that way they don't all get wiped out. Back on the planet, King Vegeta suffers more, seeing the planet destroyed by King Cold's son Frieza. He's furious that the Frost Demons may wipe them out after everything that they've done for them, but still isn't too sure if these visions are correct. That is until a vision he had comes true the next day. He had a vision that King Cold would bring Frieza to announce that with his retirement, Frieza would take over the operations of the Saiyans, and this is exactly what happens. With his future visions the real deal, King Vegeta decides to plot a way and try and defeat Frieza for good. He goes to visit his son, Vegeta the Fourth, in his nursing pod, and gets more visions of him when he's older, and of the Saiyans, Broly. Both of the Brolys, the sons of Paragus, are also in the nursing pods near Prince Vegeta, and while this normally would have infuriated the king, he can see what these Saiyans may become, and may be a huge help in dealing with Frieza and King Cold in the future. He can see so many paths these two can take, and after getting many more visions, he can tell which ones will be the best. If he sends one of them off planet, he will be picked up by the most powerful being in the universe, and if he keeps one here as his own son, then his son may become the most powerful being in the universe. The king sets his plan into action by sending one of the boys off to Vampa, with his father Paragus following after him. Knowing that Paragus will never return, he keeps his other boy, Broly, to raise as his own son. Prince Vegeta, Tarbell, and Broly are raised as brothers, and with this Broly never around to hear Kakarot, the other son of Bardock and Gine, cry, he won't have resentment for him at all. With these three Saiyan brothers together, this means that Raditz will never have a chance to go in with them, as he is far too weak to be a meaningful ally to the princes. This doesn't mean much, as Gine is always around to support him, but he just wishes he could do something more with his life. He is actually in the running to be sent off on a mission to find a new home for the Saiyans, as if King Vegeta's plan fails, then they'll need a new place to call home. He foresees that Raditz will be better suited elsewhere, so decides to send off another group of Saiyans, led by a young lad named Turles. Turles and his crew are sent off-world to go and find a new planet for the Saiyans. After some more years, King Vegeta sends Bardock and his crew off to another planet to conquer it. Bardock and his crew pretty easily wrecked the planet, and wondering why they were sent here in the first place, since it was pretty easy. But while Bardock is off on his own, he comes across a surviving Kanassin. He wonders how that's possible, since he thought the king wiped them all out, but the Kanassin explains to him how he was able to escape the genocide of his race to make it here. He's seen the future and seen that the Saiyan King Vegeta also has his future vision, and that for years he's been trying to find a way to save the Saiyan race from its destruction by Frieza. Bardock has no idea how this Kanassin can know about things like that, and assumes that he's lying. There's no way Vegeta can see the future. The Kanassin tells Bardock he can prove it to him if he strikes him through the heart, as if he does, then he will gain his powers of foresight. He has nothing to live for anymore, so he may as well die, knowing he can get revenge on the Frost Demons for being the ones to destroy his people. Bardock grants the creature his death, and once the creature is stricken to the heart, he is granted the power of foresight. Bardock screams out as future visions begin to flood through his head. He sees many possible futures for him and his family, ones that really seem to relate to Frieza destroying his planet and killing everybody on it. Bardock collapses to the ground as his crew comes to see if he's okay. Before he's out, he warns them of Dodoria coming to kill the ball, and with that, he passes out. The crew wonder why Dodoria would come to kill them, and don't think Bardock would just say something like that to be funny, so decide to take it seriously. They put Bardock into his pod, putting the life support system on him so he won't die on them, as they wait for Dodoria and his men to show. Eventually, they do, and the crew overhear Dodoria tell his men to find the Saiyans and kill them before they return to Sadala. The crew can't believe it, as this means Bardock was right, and Frieza is turning on them. They can't let him get away with this, and sneakily go around killing Dodoria's men. That way, they only have to deal with Dodoria himself. Once the soldiers are taken out, the crew all jump Dodoria, but get more than they bargained for since his power is much higher than theirs. They are all curb stomped with his sheer might, just being too much for them. Right as all hope seems lost, Bardock appears to help them out. It's a tough fight for them, but since Bardock has gotten a slight Zenkai boost, they are all able to kill Dodoria with a mighty blast. With Dodoria dead, the crew head back to planet Sadala to warn the others. Once back on Sadala, Bardock and his crew go right up to King Vegeta to warn him of Frieza wiping out their race. King Vegeta tells them he's known for a while now, and even sent off Bardock to that world in particular, foreseeing that he would get future sight as well. With there being multiple Saiyans now knowing of Frieza's plans, now they can convince the other Saiyans to follow along with them in taking the tyrant out. Orders are given for Saiyans to be evacuated off of the planet, with Bardock making sure to go to Gine to get their children off of the planet too, and onto Earth where they will be safe. Gine wants to stay and help her husband, but he says this is something he needs to do with warriors, and he'll try to come back for her if he survives. Bardock flies away as Gine gets her children. She grabs Raditz and takes her twin babies out of the nursing pods. Her son, Kakarot, and her daughter, Goku, who she gave a similar name to her adopted father, Gohan. she brings them to the Saiyan pods and places them all into different ones she can find, setting the coordinates for Earth and hoping that they'll land around Gohan's house. Raditz and Kakarot are sent off individually as she gets inside a pod with Goku and blasts off for Earth, hoping that her husband will be okay. Bardock, King Vegeta, and his crew all fly up to Frieza's ship flying overhead, with other Saiyans joining them to battle members of Frieza's army. Before they can make it into the ship, they are stopped by Zarbon, who is not allowing them anywhere near Frieza. They all fight with Zarbon, with them being extremely outclassed. King Vegeta has been training for years to fight off the monster, but even he can't do much on his own. Many of Bardock's crew are knocked out and left for dead, with him and King Vegeta about to be taken out as well. The other Saiyans all around them are dying. The ones fighting the soldiers and some of the ships that they're escaping in are being shot down. All hope really seems lost. Make it even worse, Frieza flies out of his ship to congratulate Zarbon on a job well done, and that he'll take care of the king himself. King Vegeta turns to Bardock, saying he's seen this outcome many times, and that his death is the only way to save their race. Bardock is their last hope now, and the fate of the Saiyan race rests on his shoulders. King Vegeta is shot in the head with a death beam, killing him instantly, as his body floats off towards the planet. The king's words hit Bardock hard, as he looks around to see his crew on death's door and the others dying. He won't let Frieza get away with this after everything they've done for him. Bardock is filled with rage as his power level rises and rises. He explodes in a golden light, transforming into the one thing Frieza and Frieza's grandfather feared the most, the legendary Super Saiyan. Bardock kills Zarbon with one blow as he stares up at Frieza. Frieza stares at Bardock in fear. No, this transformation, this can't be what he thinks it is. He's not going to die here today to a Super Saiyan. Frieza throws a supernova down towards Bardock and the planet as Bardock fires his final spirit cannon right at the attack. The two have a beam struggle, with Frieza not believing that a mere Saiyan is holding this attack back all on his own. Frieza attempts to put more power into the attack, with Bardock being pushed back some more, until his crew fire their attacks as well, and the remaining Saiyans alongside him fire theirs. With all of these blasts pushing the attack back, the supernova is launched right back towards Frieza. Frieza screams out as he is engulfed in the attack, and presumed defeated for good. Bardock reverts back to normal, as the Saiyans all around him cheer that Frieza has finally been defeated. Though, while Bardock may have defeated Frieza, he isn't dead yet. And with that, we're going to end the first part to What Affinity right here. I really hope you guys enjoyed my take on this multiverse scenario, combining all these ideas into one. If you want to see more, please comment down below, and hopefully we can get Moscow to promote this in some way. That way we can get more traction and have this series continue. So, thank you all so much for watching this video, and until we meet again, see you later!